Namaskaram. Hello and welcome, hardworking individuals. Today's class we are going to discuss about the peasants, tribal revolts and military revolts. We have already done one class and there we have already seen the other revolts and the uprisings, and this is the second class, the second part, all important. This PDF is going to be very important for you because we have in these two classes tried to cover almost all the rebellions before 1857, and it's very important from the perspective of your exams. But in these few moments I'm just going to say you something very important, which will really, just a minute, which will really make you understand that you don't have to think about the causes again and again. Causes are not to be seen and again. There will be some very common causes. Okay, what will be the causes there? When we will talk about these tribal revolts, understand one thing very simply. These tribal people, where they are living in the forest. They are not urbanized, they are not properly rural also. Okay, but if the Britishers, okay, or if you can say any entity, any outside entity will try and invade into their area, that's the first thing. Secondly, they will also now say that that land does not belong to the tribal people, rather it belongs to the Britishers. That's number two. Number three, they will say even to use the forest product, even to cut the trees, even to use anything related to the forest, you have to take the permission. And number four, there will be some illegal buildings. Okay, they will try to build for their own comfort, not the tribal but the Britishers at that time. So all these reasons, and in the last class we have already discussed that there will be reasons like the revenue collection will be imposed more and more. It will not be thought from the perspective of the peasant, it will be not thought from the perspective of the zamindar civil. Okay, it will be thought from the perspective of the tax collection, the more and more tax collection that will be required. So because of all these things, we will see this revolts, this peasant revolt, the sannyasi revolts, the tribal revolts, all of this will happen. But if you really want to go through it, just a very quick info. If you're preparing for TSPSC Group 1, Group 2, or you are preparing for UPSC, CSC, right now we have just started, just launched a fresh batch for you. You can call on the numbers given below. Also, if you want this very beautiful PDFs of the classes, all the PDFs of our classes are full of facts, full of information, and along with that we try to give you the colorful pictures which will make it more interesting for you. You will get more interest while reading through it. So if you want this PDF for free, yes, absolutely free, you can join our Telegram channel, Sikra Academy. And also, if you have any question regarding your preparation, this is the number where you can call us for free. Yes, for free. And you can ask to any educator, whatever the question you have. Okay, so let's get started with the class, Peasants Movement with Religious Overtones. Now, as I said you, that it will really be very common. In all this, you will see that the peasants who are protesting, all these peasants will protest against what? They will be protesting against the eviction. Okay, they are said to be thrown out from the place where they have been belonging from several decades. Increase in rents of land. Now they will themselves decide without discussing with the peasants, without discussing with the farmers. They will be deciding that what rent should I take. Okay, sometimes supposingly from today's context, if I say you, from today they will say it, I'll take you 10,000 rupees, and just after 1 month, 2 months, they will say, oh, now we will take 20,000 rupees. Now just understand, you're just doubling it, you're just tripling it, but you're not thinking from the perspective of the farmers. That's something that you should take in consideration. Very good evening, Shraddha explains. Okay, and their aim was occupancy rights for peasants, among other things. Okay, at the end of the day, you understand one thing, it's not the food that anybody demands, it's not the cloth that anybody demands, it's not even the house that anybody demands. At the end of the day, everybody has their self-respect. You cannot hurt anybody's self-respect. You cannot deny anybody the right. You'll always see that people can do without the clothes, people can do without the food, people can sometimes also do without the house, but people can't do without the respect. Either they will go mad or they will make the other person the mad one. Okay, so they were revolts and rebellions of the peasants themselves, though led by local leaders in many cases. Why you will see that most of the revolts will fail. Why they will fail? Because they were not highly organized. They were not having big leaders into it. They were even not having proper resources. But one thing was for sure, they knew that they will not win. They knew that they are not going to, get the victory, but still they rebel. Still they revolted. This is really very important. We can learn from them that no matter what, like you see today's condition, US has imposed tariff on India, 50% tariff. They say that it's because of the Ukraine war. But the reality is that, India did not nominate Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. India did not accept that, Trump was the reason for the mediation between India and Pakistan. India did not succumb to the tariffs. And because of that, we have to pay these 50% tariffs. But you have to always find another channel, and the another channel is being found by PM Modi at SCO. We are seeing that there is this alliance between India, China, India, Russia, and the other 20 nations that are present there. In the very similar way, you have to link it. This linking is really very important. If you can really link all these things, you will really be a very good aspirant. So we are talking about Narkelberia uprising. Why Narkelberia? The place name is Narkelberia, where it was in Bengal. Okay, most of these revolts you will see it is in Bengal. Why? This you tell me. Why most of the revolts? Why most of the rebellions? Why most of the mutinies that we will see it is in and around Bengal? Why it is that? You tell me in the comments. Okay, so this Narkelberia uprising of 1831, it was led by Mir Nithar Ali. He was also known as Titu Mir. Titu Mir is very famous. The uprising was a significantly early armed resistance against the British and the oppressive Jamindars, the landlords at that time. Okay, sorry, who imposed a bare tax on the Farajis and British indigo planters. Now, a key trigger was the imposition of the beard tax on Muslims. Okay, so there is this beard tax. That you might be very surprised to even hear it, but yes, that was there and that was imposed. And because of that, this Titu Mir encouraged his followers to resist. Now, Titu Mir built a bamboo fortress at that time. This is also very important. You should remember this. It might be asked as a fact, which was known as Baser Kela. Baser Kela, basically Baser, Bas means what? Bas means bamboo. Okay. Kela means the fort. Okay. So the fort of bamboo or the Baser Kela as a defense stronghold and declared jihad against the British and Jamindars. Okay. Jihad basically means to struggle to get your rights. Okay. That's the sense here what it is I'm talking about. Okay. Otherwise, it has various meanings according to various contexts. Now, the movement united Hindu and Muslims peasant, posing a considerable challenge to the British authority. But at the end of the day, you will see in the last class also, I told you, again, I'm saying you, repeating it, that it was really not possible for the rebellion to survive because British's army was quite very large. It was really not possible that they can survive. So at the end of the day, it will be suppressed, and we will also see that the revolt later merged into the Wahhabi movement. Okay, that's very important. Wahhabi movement also we have already done. Okay, hello and good evening, blogger Ritika Tiwari. Okay, so the next is Pagal Panthis. Now, what was this Pagal Panthis from 1825 to 1835? This was a semi-religious movement among tribal groups like the Garo, like the Hajong, led initially by Karamsa and later by his son Tipusa. Okay, the Pagal Panthis followed a secret blend of Hinduism, Sufism, and animistic beliefs, and they resisted excess rent demands by Jamindars and attacked landlords' houses at that time. Now their resistance was protest against the landlord's operation. This we can see, and the British will again in one way suppress them. Next is the Farazi revolt. What was this Farazi? What is Faraz? First and foremost, understand the meaning. Farazi or Faraz. What does it mean? Faraz means basically what we say in Hindi, farj. Farj. What you should do. That's the farj, and that is only the Farazi that they are talking about here. Was a religious and social reformist movement founded by Haji Sariyat Allah, later led by his son Dadu Mian. Now, the Farazis demanded the abolition of un-Islamic practices and supported peasants' right against the exploitative Jamindars. Again, this is also the Jamindars who against whom this revolt is there. They aimed to remove the British influence as well as initiated a prolonged resistance. Over time, many Farazis allied with the Wahhabi movement. Now, most of these Islamic movements that you are seeing, at the end of the day, you see they are aligning with the Wahhabi movement. Wahhabi movement in itself was a very big movement which was not totally against the Britishers, were not 100% for the revolt against the Britisher, but it was also for the reforms in Islam at that time. So that is why you see Wahhabi movement will be very important. Next is the Moplah Uprising. Okay, the Moplah Uprising were a series of peasant revolt by the Muslim Moplahs. Okay, community in the Malabar region of Kerala. So right away from Bengal, we are going to the Kerala, spanning from 1836 to 1854 with more well-known major rebellion in 1921. This uprising reflected deep-seated agrarian discontent, religious tension, and anti-colonial sentiment of that time. That is the Moplah Uprising. Now, what were the causes? We have already seen in the first class. Let's see again. Under the British and Hindu Jainmi landlords, Moplah tenants faced exorbitant rents, often up to 75 to 80% of the produce. Supposingly, you are producing anything and you are selling it for 100 rupees. Now, the government is taking 80 rupees. Government should take 5, 10, 20 rupees. Government is taking 80 rupees. Now you see, you will revolt, or what you will do. Okay, insecurity and potential eviction. British courts have favored landlords, worsening the misery of the country. So whenever these peasants are even going and saying that please listen to us, injustice is being done to us. So who was being favored? The landlords were being favored. The peasants were not being favored at that time. Social and religious tensions. The Moplahs were Muslim cultivators, while landlords and officials were mostly upper caste Hindus. Social and religious discrimination heightened their grievances. Now, British legal changes. After the defeat of the Tipu Sultan, British laws restored absolute land rights to the Jainmi landlords, ignoring Moplah tenure and increasing rent demands. Now, immediate triggers. Many specific uprisings were sparked by dispute over rent, eviction, or conflicts with the revenue officials. One thing more you should read. Always as an aspirant, try to read in between the line. What is there in between the line? Okay. So the Britishers, here you see direct if you are seeing. So it is against the Muslim cultivators and the Hindu landlords. Okay. But actually the difference is being created by the divide and rule policies of the Britishers. Britishers from the very first day understood that if we have to rule in India, we have to create these differences between Hindus and Muslims, from between the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas and the Sudras. So because of that, you will see that divide was created more when Tipu Sultan is defeated. Otherwise, while Tipu Sultan was there, this divide was not that much. Now, nature of uprising, if we see, there were 22 major Moplah revolts during this period, often marked by the violence against the landlords and the British. Early uprising targeted government offices, police stations, treasuries at that time, and some violence occurred communal overtones as local Hindus were seen as the collaborators with the colonial authorities. Because of that, what happened? Hindu-Muslim tensions were intensified. Almost all uprisings were brutally crushed by British military, with many Moplah killed or imprisoned. The infamous wagon tragedy saw 67 Moplah prisoners suffocated in custody. Okay, so that is something which you can say is very much similar to what we have seen at a tragedy while the Battle of Plassey. Can you tell me the very same tragedy, something like that? which starts with black tragedy, what it was, where many of the Britishers died before the Battle of Plassey. If you know it, comment it. Anyways, so the now we are going to see about the tribal revolts. Tribal revolts, basically, I'm giving you the reasons. These are the only reasons which you will see. First and foremost, the Britishers will try and enter the forest area. The Britishers will try to take the land of the tribals. The Britishers will restrict them. They will impose the laws like you cannot use the forest products and all. And these tribals, they were not literate people, but they were very emotionally attached people with the forest, with the land. They worship the trees, they worship the rivers, they worship the stones. So for them it was their spirituality, it was their religion. And some of the Britishers will also try to convert them. So this will also be a reason. Because of all these reasons, we'll see this tribal revolts will happen. So different causes. The tribal movements can be analyzed better if categorized into the mainland tribal revolts. The mainland tribal rebellion was sparked off by a number of factors. The land settlement of the British affected the joint ownership. As agriculture was extended in a settled form by the company government, the tribals lost their land. Again, I'm saying you the very same thing. Shifting cultivation in forest was curbed, and this added to the tribals' problem. Now they cannot cultivate according to their own way. Exploitation by the police, traders, and money lenders, most of them were outsiders. And Christian missionaries came to these regions, and their efforts interfered with the traditional customs. So the Christian missionaries, then you see the police, the traders, the money lenders being there. Then you see the shifting cultivation of the forest, how they were enjoying their life, that was stopped. Then you see that their land was taken away from them. And then you will also see that the British, they are claiming the land settlements now. So all these are becoming the reasons for the mainland as well as for the northeastern area. Okay. The tribes which share tribal and cultural links with countries across the border did not concern themselves much with the nationalist struggle, but their revolt was often in favor of political autonomy. Secondly, these movements were not forest-based or agrarian revolt, as these tribals were generally in control of land and forest area. So they are not the ones like the peasants, but they are fighting for their land, they are fighting for the forest. Okay. And if you see, desanskritization movement also spread among the frontier tribals. The Metis, okay, you must heard about the Kukis and the Metis in Manipur, organized a movement during Churachand Maharaj's rule between 1891 and 1941, denounced the malpractices of the neo-Vaishnavite Brahmins. So he was, Churachand Maharaj in a way was a reformist. Okay, he was doing the reforms. Now, the characteristic of the tribal revolts, what were the characteristic? A common cause was the resentment against the imposition of laws by the foreign government. So, first and foremost is why a foreign government is coming and imposing the laws here. They are already having their set of laws. Nobody is disturbing them. But these foreigners are now coming and they are establishing their laws. With this, what is happening? This is destroying the tribal's tradition and the socio-economic framework at that time. Next, many uprisings were led by Messiah-like figure who encouraged their people to revolt, who held out the promises. Now, this person who is going for the revolt, he is like a Messiah, he is like a hero for them. If he will say them, come and die with me, they will go and die with them. That was also a reason. The tribal uprising were doomed from the beginning, as given the outdated arms they were fought was against and the modern weapons. Now this is something that we have already seen many a times, that no matter how very emotionally connected you are for your cause, but if you're not having proper resources, you're not having proper arms and ammunition, you're not having the proper weapons, how are you going to fight against the Britishers who are having the modern equipments and yours is very outdated? Now, next is the Pahadia Rebellion. The British expansion on their territory led to an uprising by the martial Pahadias of the Rajmahal Hills. Now, this today is in Jharkhand. And the British were forced to usher in peace by declaring this territory as Damini Coal Area. Now next is the Halbar Dongar Uprising occurred in Bastar state in Chhattisgarh by Halba tribes against British armies and Marathas. This you should remember. These Paharias are from Rajmahal Hills in Jharkhand. This Halba Dongar, they are from the Bastar in Chhattisgarh. Now causes British expansion and disruption of traditional. Now this is asked. It has been asked again and again. So next is the Tilka Manjhi report, again from the Jharkhand. Tilka Manjhi in the Santhal Pargana. This was one of the earliest uprising. Caused included harassment by the revenue collectors, landlords, and severe famine. Tilka Manjhi attacked company and he split loot with the poor. He joined forces with the Pahadia Sardars, captured Ramgarh and killed Augustus Cleveland, the British magistrate. Very important. Has also killed a British magistrate. And the British executed Tilka Manjhi in 1785, making him a symbol of tribal resistance. Tilka Manjhi is still today in Jharkhand. He is prayed. Okay. The Chuar Rebellion was a series of uprising by the tribal inhabitants of the Jungle Mahal in Bengal against the East India Company. The initial event in 1768 saw Jagannath Singh, the Jamindar of Ghatsila, leading thousands of Chuars in rebellion against the company. And however, in 1771, again, a rebellion led by Chuar Sardar Syam Ganjan, Subla Singh, and Dubraj was suppressed by the British forces. The most significant uprising was under Durjan or Durjol Singh in 1798. Durjan Singh was the Jamindar of Raipur, from which he was disposed owing the operations of Bengal regulations. And the revolt was brutally suppressed by the British. Or the other leaders of the Chuars were Madhav Singh, the brother of the Raja Babhum and Raja Mohan Singh, Jamindar of Juria, and Lachman Singh of Dulma. So these were there. Now next is the Tamar Uprising of 1798. Okay, the Mundas joined by Bholanath Sahai in Tamar. Tamar in Chota Nagpur. Again, this is in Jharkhand. Against British system seen as exploitative decus. Now this term, if you see, it will be whenever you talk about the tribal revolts, decus will come again and again. What is the meaning of decu? Decu means the outsiders. Britishers were told as the decus. Okay, the rebellion was suppressed by Lieutenant Cooper, but Tamar saw repeated unrest. Next is the Kol Mutiny. The Kols alongside other tribes are inhabitants of Chota Nagpur, again the Jharkhand. This covered Ranchi, Singhbhum, Hazaribagh, Palamu, and the western parts of Manbhum. The trouble in 1831 started with large-scale transfer of land from coal headmen to outside like Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslim farmers and moneylenders who were oppressive and who demanded heavy taxes at that time. The Kols resented this, and in 1831, under the leaders of Buddho Bhagat or Budhu Bhagat, the Kol rebels killed or burnt about 1,000 outsiders. Only after large-scale military operation could order be restored. Next is the Ho tribal uprising. The Raja of Parhat organized these Ho tribals to revolt against the occupation of Singhbhum. That's now in Jharkhand. The revolt continued till 1827 until the Ho tribals were forced to submit. However, later in 1831, they again organized a rebellion joined by the Mundas of Chota Nagpur. In 1899 and 1900, in the Mundas region south of Ranchi, the Ulu Gulan was one of the most significant tribal uprising in the period, and the rebellion, which began as a religious movement, gathered political forces to fight against the introduction of feudal Jamindari tenures at that time. Next is the Santhal Rebellion. The Santhals migrated to the Rajmahal in the late 1700s, and they will also clash with the traditional Pahadia practices. British policies, that is the Permanent Settlement Act of 1793, heavy taxation and money lender eviction to the land alienation. Sidhu and Kanu Murmu led the whole movement, declared this autonomy using secret communication, and British suppression was brutal. Villages were burnt, elephants used for crushing, thousands were killed. Afterwards, Santhal Pargana was formed. Special laws prohibited land transfers to non-Santhals, and their legacy inspired future movements. One thing you will see with these tribal movements, what is there? These tribals make sure that though they were defeated by the Britishers, but they did not give up. They were revolting again and again and again and again. And that made sure that Britishers understood one thing: either we have to give up or they will keep on trying. And that's why you will see there will be special laws made by for especially the tribal people. It was not done for the peasants. It was not done for the other money lenders, the jamindars all. but it was done for the tribal people. Why it was done for the tribal people? Because it was very hard for the Britishers to fight in the forest. That's number one. Number two, this tribals, they were not ready to give up. They were either we die or we win. Okay. And third and most important point is there, you can make understand the people who are learned, the people who speak your language, but they were not the ones who are going to understand your laws, your customs, your urbanization, your modernization. So because of that also. Next is the Khond Uprising, 1837 to 1856. The Khond of the hilly tracts extending the Odisha to Srikullam and the Visakhapatnam district of Andhra Pradesh revolted against the company rule. We have the Chakra Bishoy, a young Raja led the Khonds who were joined by the Ghumsar and the Kalahandi and other tribals to oppose the suppression of human sacrifices, new taxes, and the entry of Jamindars into their areas. With Chakra Bishoy's disappearance, the uprising came to an end. Next is the Koya Revolt. The Koyas of the eastern Godavari tract, that's in modern Andhra, joined the Khonda Sara chiefs, that's revealed in 1803, 1840, 1845, and they rose once again in 1879-80. You're seeing again and again, 1803, 1840, 45, 58, 61, 62. So they are not giving up. Their complaints were oppression by police and moneylenders, new regulations and denial of their customary rights over the forest areas. After the death of Tomra Sora, another rebellion was organized in 1886. Okay, so this is what we are seeing here. Okay, with this we have come to the last of few of the revolts, like the Bhil Revolt. The Bhils who lived in the Western Ghats controlled the mountain passes between the north and the Deccan. They revolted against the company rule in 1817-19 because they had to face famine, economic distress, and misgovernment. The British used both force and conciliatory efforts to control the uprising. However, the Bhils revolted again in 1825, 31, 46. Later, a reformer, Govind the Guru, helped the Bhils of South Rajasthan, Banswara, to organize themselves to fight for Bhil Raj by 1930. Next is the Ramosi Rising. The Ramosis of hill tribal areas of the Western Ghats had not reconciled the British rule. And after the annexation of the Maratha territories by the British, the Ramosis who had been employed by the Maratha lost their means of livelihood. They rose under Chittur Singh in 1882 and plundered the country around Satara. The disturbance occurred again in 1839 over disposition and banishment of Raja Pratap Singh of Satara, and disturbance erupted in the 1840 and 41 also. Next is the Khasi Uprising. After having occupied the hilly region between Garu and Jaintia, the East India Company wanted to build a road between the Brahmaputra Valley with Sylhet. For this, a large number of outsiders, including Englishmen and the Bengalis, and the laborers from the plains were brought to these regions. The Khasis, Garos, Khampits, and the Singhpos organized themselves under the Tirath Singh to drive these strangers away, and the uprising developed into popular revolt against British rule in this area. By 1833, the superior English military force had suppressed the revolt. Okay, now the last few we are coming up. Singhpos Rebellion. The Singhpos in Assam in early 1830 was immediately quelled by, but they continued. An uprising in 1839 saw the death of British political agent, that is the Chief Nirang Phidu, led an uprising in 1843 which involved an attack on the British garrison and death of many soldiers. Some of the smaller movements were those of the Mismis, the Khampat Rebellion in Assam, and the Lusays Revolt in 1842 when they attacked villages in Manipur. Okay, now let's talk about the Sepoy movements. We have seen the peasant movement. We have seen the tribal movement. Now let's see the Sepoy mutinies, because 1857, the Great Revolt of 1857, one of the major reason was the Sepoy Rebellion. So what were the causes, specific causes? Discrimination in payment and promotions. Britishers are also Sepoys, Indians are also Sepoy. Britishers are paid more, Indians are paid less. Britishers are given promotions, Indians are not given promotions. Mistreatment of Sepoys by the British officers. If you are a British Sepoy, you are getting good treatment, you are respected. But if you are an Indian Sepoy, you are not respected. Refusal of the government to pay foreign service allowance while fighting in remote region. Now, if you are going and fighting in some other place, the Britishers are getting extra money for that. But Indians are not getting any extra money for that. Religious objection of the high caste Hindu sepoys to Lord Canning's general service enlistment, ordering all required to be ready for service both within and outside India. Now, there was one thing at that time. The Hindus did not wanted to travel across the seas. Okay, it was not considered. It was considered that according to their religion, that's not correct. But this was made a law, and now if it is a law, so they have also to go outside India. This was also a major religious objection that the Hindus were having. Now, there were some major mutinies that happened at that time. What were these major mutinies? Barakpur Mutiny 1824. Sepoys refused to serve in Burma, objecting to again the overseas service that I said you. The Vellore Mutiny of 1806, when the sepoys protested against the interference in their social and religious practices. Okay, then the mutiny of the sepoys of 47th Native Infantry, the revolt of the Grenadier Company in Assam in 1825, the mutiny of an Indian regiment at Solapur in 1838, and the mutinies of the 34th Native Infantry. These were few of the mutinies in the sepoys, okay, that we have seen. Now, however, all these mutinies did not spread beyond their loyalties and were ruthlessly cursed by the British Indian government, but the legacy of these revolts proved to be of immense significance later. I told you one thing here, that if you remember, I said you that these people knew that they are not going to win. No matter what, they will not be able to win. But they did not give up. That is something that you can take from here. Let's see few of the questions. The Santhal Rebellion of 1855-56 was primarily a revolt against what? It was a revolt against land revenue settlement and exploitation by moneylenders. Okay, if you want to see the explanation, you can pause the video and see it. Also, if you want the PDF of these classes for free, you can join our Telegram channel. And also, if you have any question to ask to any educator, you can call on the numbers given below and ask your questions for free. The Kol Uprising of 1831 was caused by the British leasing tribal lands to non-tribal landlords. True. The introduction of moneylenders and outsiders led to the alienation of tribal lands and exploitation. That is also true. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Next is the mass the leaders. Tilka Majhi was related to the early Santhal and Paharia revolt. And then you have Sidhu and Kanu, Kol Uprising. Okay, Buddha Bhagat, someone who was related to, 1 minute, Sidhu Kanu again was Santhal Rebellion. Okay, Buddha Bhagat was in the Kol Uprising, and Birsa Munda Uprising. Okay, yes, 4B. It should be B. Yes, so B is the correct answer here. Let's see the next one. Which one of the following statements regarding the Vellore Mutiny of 1806 is or are correct? It was triggered by the introduction of new dress code for Indian sepoys. Okay, the mutiny was supported by all religious communities equally. Okay, it was suppressed swiftly by the British without much violence. The correct answer is one only. The Vellore Mutiny was primarily caused by the introduction of new uniforms. And the second statement is incorrect because the mutiny did not have equal religious support, and the third is incorrect as the suppression was violent, not the non-violent one. And the last question, why did tribal revolts often fail despite widespread participation? Superior British military technology and weaponry, yes. Lack of leadership and coordination, yes. Limited resources and backwardness in military strategies, yes. So what should be the correct answer? All of the above should be the correct answer here. So with that, we have come to the end of the class, but this can be the beginning for you if you're preparing for UPSC, TSPSC or APPSC for one-on-one live mentorship with Deepika ma'am, who is having 20 plus years of experience and she's someone who has guided hundreds of students into the administrative services. There's nothing wrong in just calling once and inquiring a bit more about it. Also, if you have any question, any single doubt that you want to ask, you can ask it for free. So for that, you can call on these numbers given below. And also keep working hard. If you liked it, please like and subscribe so that we meet again, and good luck. Namaskaram.